Good morning, everyone. Our topic for today is about page formatting in Word 2016. The list of the topics will be the margins, orientations, the size, the colors, the borders and shadings, multiple columns, headers and footers, page break, insert cover page, insert blank page, and the templates. Now let's start with the page margin. As we all know, page margins consist of the top, left, bottom, and right. There are choices that you could actually use in the custom settings. There are already something like blended with 1.5, 1.5. That would be the latest. Or you could have a normal or a narrow, or you want it moderate or wide, or you can have it mirrored, and then you can have it in Office 2003 default. And you can actually customize your margins if you want. It's up to you, whatever the requirements. In a similar thesis or research, it's 1.5 to the left, 1 to 1 inches, 1 inch to the right, and on similar to the top, there is also 1. Now, if you notice on the setup dialog box, there is a top margins, left, bottom, right, and there's also a gutter. A gutter is somewhere in the edge of the paper, but we're never going to see it. Usually, we usually put something like 0.01. Gutter is usually used for borderless printing. You can either have the two options for that. And then underneath is what we call the portrait or the orientation of the page. You want it a portrait, something like a straight up, or you want it a landscape, something like a rectangle, something like which slide down. And then if you want to check it, and then you can actually have something like what you want, or you could able to do use page orientation in something like a normal page of paper. While in the case of landscape, we often use that in something like a forms that we have to fill up, like those tables. Okay, so these are the ways on how to select or change your orientation. You just simply choose which one do you prefer. Is it a landscape or a portrait? And by default, it is a portrait. Now, let's go to the size of the papers. There are actually a lot of sizes, but the common are the following. The letter refers to the small. By the way, our measurement is actually in inches. The double quote system, something you see is in inches. But when you go to the page printing, when we set it up, you'll be given an option if it is a in terms of inches or in terms of centimeters. Now, for the letter, it's 8.5 by 11, meaning 8.5 is the width, while the height is 11. On the legal size, legal is what you usually see on the long band paper, while the letter is for the short. In another definition of which one is true. Executive, it's a little bit small, but I don't usually use it. The most common is actually a letter, a legal, or an A4. A4 is usually used for all documents, paperworks, like PSA. Your birth certificate is actually printed in A4, which is the size. Now, underneath are the types of envelopes. You can actually print on an envelope, given on the size, and then later, you can actually set your own paper size. Well, it's up to you to choose. Now, choose the size of your final document. You can choose legal, A4, or credit card size, whichever you prefer. The next topic will be the page color. Well, it's so random that we use a color in our page. Why? Well, usually we don't want anything to put behind. But just in case you're going to create, let's say, a simple invitation, or rather you want to emphasize on the color of the background, that's very simple. It's said that it is self-explanatory, so you don't need to master it. You can simply choose the color. There are three options. You can either choose a plain or simple color, and then you can put what you call this, fill effects. Fill effects refers to what sort of effects that you wanted. You can have it a texture, a pattern, or a picture. Similar to putting a picture at the back. Oh, like as watermark. But watermark is typically different because they are not in the background. They are within your page, similarly like a text. But the confusion from between the two should not be that big. Now, you can choose a shading styles. There are variants, and you have simply choose which one do you prefer. So, from the colors of the page into the fill effects, it's up to you to choose which one. Now, for the border and shading, by default, the shading or the settings of the border is actually none. You can choose to put a shading or a border in a selected text. You can actually use as a whole document. You can put a shadow or a 3D effects, or you can customize you want. There are typical size style. There is straight line, a thin straight line. You can have a dotted lines or multiple dotted straight lines. There are a lot of choices in this. And you can choose the color of that border. You want it red, blue, it's up to you to choose. And then the size or the width of that border, depending on the size you wanted. Let's say you wanted 1/2, 3/4, 1, 2, depending on the size, or would you like to emphasize of your borders and shadings. You can actually use an art like a pencil, a ball pen, a ball. Well, it's up to you to choose. Usually when we make use of these borders, we wanted to emphasize that it will be posted somewhere like an announcement, something like that. Okay, now let's go to whatever shading that you have to prepare. Now, there's an option that you wanted to always display in front. You see, when you copy an image, you put an image, and then that image has different properties. You can actually change it. Let's say you want that image on top of the text or behind the text, or you want it square on the text. It's similar to that particular shading, but that's typically the common ideas. Now, let's go to the multiple columns. An example underneath has 2 columns. Now, by default, try to remember when you choose a page new, the default of that is there is 1 column. Oh, okay. Now, if you wanted to change that into 2 or 3, this example is actually 2 columns as we notice. And this W is what we call a drop cap. That's another features of Word, emphasizing on the start of a paragraph or something like a document. So it says that adding columns is actually very easy. All you have to do is choose which one. You need 2, 3, or a column on the left or column on the right. Now, take note that some of the pictures in that columns is actually can be seen from another uh, page preview natin. So you can set 4 columns if you want. Remember, columns is not actually a table, huh? There's a different thing about tables. Tables will be discussed in our next video as the last part of our module 5. So here you can see the preview of 1 column, 2, 3. Sir, I wanted 4. Or you just simply add the numbers in the columns. So there's a left and there's a right preview. In an old version of Microsoft Word, there is no left and there is no right. So simply one of the latest features. Now you can actually add a column and with spacing. Let's say the difference between the left, the first column and the second column. What is the width? You wanted to have a spacing, something like that. And take note, you can also apply it to a whole document or half of the document. The common problem is I have 2 columns, but I wanted the later part would be 1 column. Now it works. Unlike before, if you have 2 columns, you have to have a page break for you to have a new page. While if you want to combine 2 columns and 1 column for each, all you have to do is apply it to particular part that you want. That's one of the things that we wanted to find out later. Let's go to the insert headers and footers. Obviously, it includes page numbering. You try to notice, guys, that page header or footers, when you add a header, you usually put a logo of the school or the company to emphasize that it will be included in every page. Correct? But given this version, you can actually change every columns or every headers that you want, and you can even change the footers. Normally, footers are used for determining the number of page, the page numbering, or you wanted to include your initials or something like a code. Let's say I wanted to put, let's say, ETE October 6, 2020 in every page. So emphasizing that I'm the one who actually did it. But very people do that unless they wanted to show it them. Now, a header, a footer, and a page number, the combination of the 3. As you click the header, you can choose the style. Now, previously, there are only few styles that left, but these are now included. You see, there is an Austin, there is a banded. These are the latest features that you want. Now, you wanted to put the page number on either on the top or underneath. See, you have choices. Top of the page or bottom page or in the page margin. You can actually format the page number, and obviously you can remove the page number. Sir, I wanted to have a page number on the second page. You can actually do that here. Sir, I have a numbering, but I use Roman numerals. You can change the format page number. You see the current position. You wanted the page appear on the second page. You go to the current position and change that into page number 2. Okay. Why do I need to create a page break? A page break is the point where one page ends and another's begin. Tapos ka na dun, you wanted to start a new page. We usually do something like you already encode for the third page, and now this particular part you wanted to do it in the second page. So what you're going to do commonly is enter, and then until you reach the second page. And that's more like it that we are doing like that. But having a control or a page break, it will easily go and put you back into the second page. Sir, what if my third page is only half? Obviously, when you insert a page break, when you print that document, page number 3, whatever the content of that page will only be the half. Because there's no magic when you print something like you insert a page break and you are thinking that the data will be printed in the whole document. Of course not. It will only print the whole document, but whatever inside it is the only thing to be printed. This is pictures of a cover page was actually included in the year 2010. Not sure about 2007 because I already moved on. I don't want to live on the previous, so I just need to move on. The beauty of the cover page is actually when you're making something like a portfolio or a compilation of something like your research, your activities. You wanted to put there's a lot of template that you could actually use, and then you can simply modify it the way you want it. You can change the color, you can change actually the title, something like this. Okay, so cover page usually we don't require it, but most of the time, if you are compiling something, let's say this is the compilation of the of your blogs, so you just put there my personal blogs. So you simply you can put a picture of yourself, or you can put an abstract picture that represent your cover page. Okay. Hey, sir, I don't want to insert a cover page, but I wanted to insert a page blank. A page blank, you must be thinking, sir, I already have page number 3 and already have page number 4. But I wanted the page number 3 and page number 4 to be on page number 5. So the normal thing that we always do is at the end of page 3, we keep on pressing enter, 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 enter. So with that, you're moving the data of the data in the page 4 to go to page 5, and then you can actually start typing on the page 4, which is now blank. But the disadvantage is when you start typing on page 4, every time you enter, the data on page 5 is going down, 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 and down. So to lessen the hassle, you wanted to insert a blank page. The reason? It will simply insert a new page between 3 and 4, and then previously the current 4 will be insert into page 5, and then when you type something on the page which is blank, it will not simply go down or something like that. Okay? Rather, the next one is our template. Actually, template is the last topics that we're going to have. There are only 2 possibilities that you're going to normally ask. Sir, why do I need a template? Well, number 1, a template is a format which you normally use in your day-to-day activities. Let's say you wanted your style to be unique. Let's say every time I send an assignment to my instructor or to my professor, common, I'll put the name, my section. So every time, I'm just going to copy and paste that into a new document every time. So why not make something like a template that most of the thing that you are pasting, or you paste those data from the old assignment to the new, is already there. You can create a unique way of showing your personality. Let's say you love something like pink, and also you wanted those to emphasize that you are black. So meaning you can have a combination of black pink. You can actually put a typical idea showing your interests to be recognized of who you are and what you are. Creating your own templates is not actually a sin. It is actually something that you should be proud of doing and using every time. There's no restriction on what we call submitting any documents. So template will give you an idea. The second one is will give you an idea what seems to be the latest format in advertising, promotion, brochure, calendars, tables, resumes, things like that. You can actually see a lot of it here, but I want you to explore more so you could able to enjoy. I think template will help me a lot. For example, I'm doing a lot of research and thesis. I normally do something like a template for chapter 1, chapter 2, 3, 4, 5. I usually put what are the things that I need to do in chapter 1. So in my templates, there is a hidden guides. These are the content of chapter 1. The introduction, the theoretical framework, the background study, or the background something ganun, theoretical framework, conceptual framework, SOPs, things like that. While I go to chapter 2, these are what we call the literature related, foreign studies, local literature, and foreign literature. And underneath will be the topics of a particular issue, which gathered from the different uh, presenters or researchers. And the lower part will be the synthesis. Chapter 3 will be the method of research. Is it the one I want? So to make my work a little easier, I make a templates on knowing the content that I'm going to do. Okay, guys. Hope you learned something from this. I want you to make any comments or questions or any suggestion that you think that might improve our topic from the next time. Hope to see you again. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.